Hello and welcome to episode 1363 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, January 10th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon by Justin Mason. Morning for him. Justin, good morning to you.
Good afternoon to you.
Thank you. How you doing? How's everything going over there?
I'm tired and I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie. I'm very nervous.
Nervous about the Longhorns game tonight. Me too. I feel you.
Yeah, because I don't even know who they're playing.
Because I know exactly what you're talking about. No, yeah. What are you nervous about?
I'm going to try quitting smoking.
So, is that okay? Yes.
So, for those who don't know, I've been a smoker for a long time. I've made numerous attempts to quit. I quit for like 6 months in I don't know, 2021, 2022, something like that.
You've had some other streaks going that at least reached a month, which it's really hard, guys. You know, quitting smoking is remarkably difficult.
So we have three smokers who live in my house, my wife and my brother-in-law. And I did the math on it last night, and it is an obscene amount of money.
Especially because there's such a tax on smokers now with how much they cost.
I mean, they're almost $12 a pop in California.
God.
So, and I'm a heavy smoker. I'm not like one of those. So, kids, do not smoke. It's bad for your health. It's also bad for your pocketbook. So I've got like half a pack left or something like that.
And then it's go time.
And then it's go time. So hopefully on Monday I will be 3 days.
Ooh, our fights on Monday are going to be crazy.
Oh, they're going to be awesome. They're going to be great. Monday is going to be the best episode of the year.
You stupid moron. How could you possibly have him right there?
What are you doing? Yeah. We're going to be arguing
just to
over
refute everything I say. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sure, Paul.
Arguing over the 45th best first baseman.
Yeah, exactly. Just breaking down how much, you're going to go to the mat for Anthony Rizzo really hard. No, he's coming back this year. We are going to talk some first base, but we have to start with a transaction. Your Giants were at it again. And this is a confluence of the sleeper and the bust. Your favorite team signing my favorite pitcher ever. Justin Verlander out to the Giants. I like it, right? We're very much of the no bad 1 year deals. And all that really means is even if it goes poorly, it's only 1 year. I know that phrase sometimes gets maybe thrown around too much and people are like, whoa, what if the guy's bad? Yes. A guy can go poorly in a year, but the point is that you're only taking a shot for a year. Your commitment is low. The question with JV was last year the beginning of the end, and he's finally cooked, or is it a health washout that you can actually say, hey, if he's fully healthy this year, we expect he can be a reasonable back end of the rotation guy, or are you concerned that 42-year-old Verlander is just done and he's on his Randy Johnson tour here?
No, I think that last year is it was an injury washout year. I'm not overly worried about it in terms of like what the overall numbers look like. If you kind of look at like what he did prior to June, when he was clearly starting to hurt, his numbers were a 3.26 ERA in 47 innings. With almost a strikeout inning. The homers were definitely up. The command and control are not what they used to be. But he was fine. Like he was totally fine. He was an aged Justin Verlander, which is, never going to be the guy he was in Detroit, or earlier on in his career. But like at 41 years old, going to be 42 this year. I think this is a great signing for the Giants. I think it's a great landing spot for Verlander in terms of a park that limits home runs. So his biggest issue was homers. Now he's going to San Francisco where the homers are not going to hurt him nearly as much as they did in other parks. So yeah, I love this move. This is a fantastic move for the Giants. It makes a lot of sense. Gives them a ton more depth in the rotation, especially a rotation that, hey, let's be honest, Robbie Ray, how healthy is he going to be this year? I hope he's going to be healthy and kind of back to who he was prior to Tommy John, but you just never know. Jordan Hicks, how
many innings
how many innings can you really expect from that? Now they've got guys like Logan Webb and Justin Verlander who you can kind of just pencil in for 150 to 170 innings. and that really helps stabilize the rotation. And if Verlander doesn't work, or if one of those other guys gets hurt, or if Kyle Harrison just continues to pitch like Kyle Harrison, like they have other guys in the minor leagues or in their bullpen that they can transition into a starter. Tristan Beck is going to be their long man. We have guys like Birdsong, Randy Roop, Mason Black. Like there's a number. They still have Carson Wisenhunt, who's not on the 40 man, but he's their top prospect in their org. So like there is enough depth now that I feel more confident about the Giants rotation with Verlander, and they didn't need to go out and spend the money on Burns. I wish they had.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't rather have,
because they could have done both, and I think that would have been really impressive to throw Burns atop the rotation. There you go, Burns, Webb, Ray, Hicks, Verlander. But this is fine. I do like this, and I agree that it's a good spot for Verlander. Take a shot on him. He's not expensive in drafts either. So if you believe in him still, you can take the shot pretty comfortably and get away from it if it doesn't work out, both if you're the Giants and if you're a fantasy drafter. By the way, I do remember going to a mid-June Astros game that he was slated to pitch in, and he got scratched. And I do remember them saying that if it was the playoffs, he would go. And the whole thing was like, this is going to be a short injury, not going to be a problem. And he missed 2.5 months. So, and then when he came back, he definitely wasn't himself. So I think spring will go a long way to determining where Verlander's at too. People get to see him again and kind of, determine, do they feel confident that he can put together 125, 150 innings like you're saying? I'm going to bet yes. Again, I'm fully in the bag for Verlander, and I do agree with you that the pre-injury Verlander was still a useful pitcher. So all in all, good move there for the Giants. Anything else on Verlander?
No. I mean, I just think at this point, like do you even know where he's going in the ADP?
I'm looking right now. Yeah, 493. And so like even if 100 pick rise because he signed fine. Or something, you're still getting him right around pick 400, and nobody's gonna have a problem with that. So
I saw today that he wants to pitch till he's 45 to try to get to 300 wins, and I'm here.
I'm here for it too. If he can stay healthy enough to do it, I'm in. And that's why I likened it to Randy Johnson. Now, he's not close to 300 the way Johnson was when he became a Giant. But, we could see some years like that. I'm always rooting for Verlander.
Yeah.
One correction we need to make, because you're a gigantic racist.
Yeah, apparently.
No, the Kims aren't related.
Yes. Seon Kim and Ha Seon Kim. I don't know if I heard it wrong somewhere else or if I just went, hey, Seon Kim. That was my bad. They're not related. So I apologize if I upset anybody. I don't know that I upset anybody, but
I don't think anyone was upset, but they were nice to reach out. A couple people, including our friend Jenny Butler, pointing it out. We had a comment, mention it. So I always appreciate that, right? If we make a mistake, we're not above being told, hey, you biffed that one. So no problem there. Still really eager to see what he can do with the Dodgers, the Kim that they signed, and what's going to happen to Ha-Seong Kim, because obviously he still needs to be signed. He's coming off of an injury, though, expected to miss some time for sure.
The Dodgers should just sign him and just create confusion.
You just create tons of confusion. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they did, though, because he'd be like a summer acquisition.
They've been teammates before.
So, they have?
Yeah, when Jenny reached out to us and said, hey, I don't think they're related, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go double check this. And I went double checked, and they're not related, but they have been teammates.
I like that. Oh, and Ha-Seong Kim, the one who's been here, free agent right now, expected to miss at least the first month after his October shoulder surgery. So, I'm not really drafting him right now. I'm definitely more interested in the Dodgers Kim at this point, for sure, even though he's a bit of an unknown. All right, let's talk first base. Let's dive in here. It's an interesting position, right? I mean, they all have their own levels of intrigue, but I find first base to be pretty interesting right now because I think it lacks premium depth, which is rare at first base, right? I don't think it's just the era that we grew up in, but in the era that we did grow up in, when it was kind of the steroid era, there were tons of first basemen. There were 30 home run hitters to go around for everybody, with 40 home run hitters to go around for most teams. We don't have that. It's a different game now. Obviously, power's still prevalent in the game, but there just aren't as many bangers over there at first base dominating. There's really only a handful of mega studs, and then you start to get into the question marks pretty early, right? The top 5 are bankable household names: Vlad Jr., Harper, Freeman, Olson, Pete Alonso. Number 6 is a catcher, Sal Perez, in terms of ADP. And then Josh Naylor, Christian Walker at 7 and 8, both in new places next year. I love both, but as you're 7 and 8, that's already some serious questions about your bankable first baseman there. So let's start with the king. He is up at the top, all alone there. Vlad Jr. as the lone first rounder, and actually not even really. If you're a letter of the law to the 15.4 ADP, that 0.4 technically means, he's a wheel pick there, 15, 16, but he's the closest one. He is the top dog right now. There's obviously some uncertainty about Toronto of where they're at, how long they're going to keep him. He's still a stud, though. Despite their disappointing year last year, don't let that make you think that the stink was on everyone. Vlad Jr. was still an absolute monster, going 3,100 with a 323 average, and I think it got hidden a bit because they sucked. And I almost feel like he's maybe not getting his due. I know the first round is deep, but I like him as more of a fixture in the first round as opposed to very much at the very end of it in 15 teamers. How do you feel about Vlad Jr. going into this, kind of up in the air season with Toronto?
I love Vlad Jr. He's going to be on a bunch of my teams. I think there is an argument to be made that he should be going in the top half of the first round and not in the back half or beginning of the second round. The batting average you get with the power and the just sheer volume of plate appearances is amazing. He, over the course of the last 4 seasons, he has not had a season with less than 682 plate appearances. You put a 300 average in with that, and all of a sudden, that is just insanely valuable from a position in which you do not get batting average very often. And when you do, you get it with a huge deficit in power typically. So I think there is a lot of reason to love Vlad Jr. going where he's going right now. I want to draft kind of 7-8 this year for the most part, or somewhere between kind of 5 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
But if I end up with a later pick, you can be sure I'm probably taking Vlad Jr. at 11 or 12 and not letting him get around the turn.
Yeah, it's such a monster to put there. You don't get speed from him. Okay, sure, I'll get my speed elsewhere. I'm not going to run from a non-speed first round pick. And we talked a bit about this last year. I thought people were overreacting to the first rounders who didn't run, and Vlad was one of them. So I think he is a little bit discounted again this year, discounted within the superstar tier. And I'm with you. I can see myself taking him in the latter part of that first round consistently because he is so bankable. And I guess this is less of a fantasy question, more of a broad baseball question. Do you think they re-sign him? Do you think they make him the foundation, or do they kind of restart and let him go, let Bichette go, turn it all around? What do you think is the answer there in Toronto?
I mean, I think they should sign him because if they don't, they better enter a full rebuild.
It'd be a full teardown if they don't. I think.
Yeah,
you have to.
Yeah, you have to. I don't think they will though. I don't either. I don't think. Supposedly, at least the last offer they made, I know they're supposedly going to make an offer today, or maybe they made it yesterday, and we just haven't heard what it is. But they were $100 million apart. It's not getting done. When you're 100,
it's not good.
If you're 20 million apart, if you're 30 million apart, I get it. You figure that out, right? You're 100 million apart. That is a massive difference.
We're in different worlds at that point.
And I mean, Bob Nightingale did report and Bob Nightingale is Bob Nightingale. So a lot of people don't buy
Bob
his reports, but that he wants to go to Boston. If he doesn't get re-signed, that he's going to go to Boston. And that this is why Boston has not pulled the trigger on Alex Bregman, is because they want to have the money for Guerrero next year. God, that would be so fun to watch him.
That would be amazing, and he would, beat the living hell out of the Green Monster there. But that would mean Devers has to stay at third base longer, or become DH. Sure, but a lot of teams don't like to commit to DH. Now, I will say, Boston is a team that has found that committing to a DH can work well. Obviously, with one of the
and they've already
DHs
paid him,
ever.
so it's I know he doesn't want a DH because it makes his next contract potentially lower because teams don't want it, but you've already gotten paid, you kind of got to do what the team needs you to do.
True.
Or you put Vladdy DH. Like, I mean, it's
Also
not like
possible.
It's not like Vladdy is.
We can't ignore Casas, being there, and he could be.
They're going to move Casas. They tried to move Casas already, apparently.
Well, especially if they get Vlad, I think they would move Casas immediately. You can't really have all three of those guys, I don't think.
Well, no, they tried to move Casas this offseason, according to a report that they tried to package Casas
in the Crochet trade.
I don't know if it was I think it was to Seattle. They said, hey, we will give you Casas, but you have to take Yoshida's contract too.
Oh,
and
nobody wants to do that.
No one wants Yoshida's contract right now.
No, because you want to talk about DH only.
Yeah, DH only, and not a DH you really want.
No. So yeah, that's understandable. But okay, we'll keep tabs obviously on where Vlad goes. But as of now, he's in Toronto. I think they make it work and they keep him. But if they don't, whoever gets him will be very happy.
Yeah,
Let's move on.
Think they do. I think he gets traded mid-season to a contender.
That'd be a lot of, especially if it was like an NL move just for the NL only leagues, that it would flip upside down. That's always fun when that happens.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk the next group there, because it's a nice little quartet of guys. It's those next four: Harper, Freeman, Olson, Alonso, that are the bankable guys. Obviously, we need to figure out where Alonso's going to sign. We'll get to him in a moment. Let's start with Harper, who is now a fully entrenched first baseman. I don't think he played a single bit of outfield last year, right?
No.
Like he is done. He is a first baseman now. He's in that 30s portion of his career, and he's taken to it very nicely. He's a stud at the dish still. He's handled the fielding very well. Obviously, it is the easiest position, but as we know from the Moneyball movie and all that, it's not easy. It still takes work to figure it out, but Harper figured it out pretty easily. He's been a stud there. Do you find him to be bankable at that early second round level? Are you interested in Harper as a cornerstone for yourself? Because we are several years removed from his last 100 RBI season. He has 2 full seasons in that time, last year and 2021. Sub 90 Ribby totals in those 2 years, but still banking 30 homers, quality average, and a little bit of a chip in steal situation. Where do you stand with Harper right now?
Yeah, I love Harper. I have no problem with where he's going, and he will definitely be. I think I've already drafted him once, but he'll definitely be on some of my teams this year. I just think 30 home runs with a good average, it's really, really hard to do. And like I said, as we move further down this list, we're going to start talking about guys where you go, whoa, do we really want this guy? Like, there's like 7 or 8 guys that I feel really confident about, and then there's a hodgepodge of guys I don't. So I don't mind going out and getting Harper, or the next guy we're going to talk about, which is Freddie Freeman, who I think is a very similar player. I do think that, he could easily be 100 again. He's another year removed away from injury. He's less likely to get hurt at first base than he would have been in the outfield. So I could see a season where, hey, he approaches, 680, 700 plate appearances. I'm not projecting that at all, because you just can't, considering he hasn't gotten, to 680 since 2019. But I have a good feeling about Harper this year, and I think you can pretty much pencil in 30 home runs and 7 or 8 stolen bases and a good average, and then there's upside for more.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I still think even in his 30s, he'll be 32 this year. Bryce Harper has like a 41-10 season still in the bank. Like, and I know, I mean, the ribbies maybe not, because that has always been something that's been a bit lighter for him. Like, now he doesn't lead off, so it's not like a Schwarber thing. Like, he bats 2-3, but you look at these ribby totals, he's only eclipsed 100 twice. And I'm not like going all 1980s, 1990s on you, Joe Carter style, who used to rack up 100 ribbies like it was nothing. But it is a little bit surprising. I know part of it is the volume, because he's had some injury issues, but it is a little jarring to only see 2 100 ribby seasons there.
I wonder how much of it is with they have a leadoff hitter in Schwarber who hits bombs, and so it just clears the base, right? Yeah, it just clears the bases.
So he's like a second leadoff guy.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So I mean, I think he has an opportunity to get there. If he doesn't get there, he doesn't get there. But I think he's just so bankable that you shouldn't have a problem taking him.
I'll supplement my RBIs elsewhere. I love Bryce Harper. I'm happy to take him.
And at his age, last year he had his best year in terms of his in-zone contact. 87% in-zone contact was the best of his career. Like to see a guy at this age that is still such a fantastic pure hitter, still hits the ball really, really hard. I just love Bryce Harper. I have no problem
Me
saying
too.
where he's going.
Yeah, and I just think he's somebody who's going to age very well too.
Yeah.
Like I have no questions on that. Same with this next guy who we're already seeing age beautifully, and that's Freddie Freeman, as you mentioned. He's on a it would maybe be a longer streak if not for the COVID year. Although I don't know why he didn't make the All-Star. Did they not do an All-Star game? That's why, right? They didn't do an All-Star game.
Yeah, no, they didn't do an All-Star
So
game.
he technically has a 6-year All-Star streak going then if we throw out 2020 there. Bottom line is he just keeps producing. He's into his mid-30s now, age 35 this year, and you want to talk about bankable. Now it is bankable at a bit of a lower level. We're not churning out 30 homer seasons, but the batting average bankability makes up for it, in my opinion. So you're paying for more of a mid to upper 20s home runs with the chance at the 100 ribbies. He has 102 of the last 3 seasons, 89 last year. He did miss some time, though, and it wasn't necessarily an injury. His son was dealing with a medical issue that took him out for a bit, and you might remember when he returned, that was an amazing moment. And as we know right now, his son has been healthy, and that's great. One of the sneaky things about Freeman, too, chips in steals. Sometimes like more than chip in. 23 back in 2023. He was 23 for 24. Last year, he still got 9. Batting average is there. Part of an amazing team. I mean, I echo many of the same thoughts I have with Harper, where he's aging brilliantly. He's a superstar. I have no problems taking Freddie Freeman anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, he's a 5-category producer at first base. You just don't see very many of those. And he's in the best lineup in baseball. I mean, it's all going to come down to health, I think, for Freeman. At age 34, like, are we really like expecting him to continue to like play 150 something games? I mean, at this point, I think you have to kind of project it, but it is a little bit scary. And I think one of the reasons why he is even as far down in the ADP as he is, because Freeman deserves to be a first rounder in lots of ways. Like
I think that's where first round's depth comes into play, though, right? Because if someone wanted to take Harper or Freeman in the first, I get it, but then you start stacking up all the guys, and that's why they fall down, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I have no problem taking Freeman. I just think he's so bankable and so easy to kind of just slide in your lineup and not have to worry about the rest of the season. That position. But I'll be interested to see. Like, I mean, I've done both the projection for Harper and Freeman, so I'll be interested to see which one actually came out better in terms of dollar values. I assume they're right next to each other. I just haven't run the numbers on it.
Yeah, they're so like similar. Honestly, these top 3, they're all awesome. As you can tell, we don't have like a ton of like great insight because it's just bankable studs. Go get them. Go get your Vlad Jr., your Freeman, your Harper.
Absolutely.
This number 4 guy, though, is our first big question in this group, if only because he's coming off of a tough year. He's coming off of his best year ever last year when he went 54, 139. We kind of knew there'd be regression, right? It's just safe to bet on some regression when somebody has that great of a season. We didn't know it'd be like this. He was one of those guys that's like, man, this regression is hitting pretty hard here. Ends up going 29.98 with a 247 average. And that was tough too, because he'd hit the 283. And I think people were like, oh, is the average back? Because he's been kind of up and down. Now the last 4 years for Matt Olson are 271. Actually, well, I'm not going to count 2020 because who cares about that? But you look at 271, 240, 283, 247. I think we're confident that the power is going to be fine because in the summer it really was. And it did look kind of like a fluke that he wasn't hitting for the power. Is he just a volatile average guy? Like, do these 4 years make you feel like you can't really bank on anything except for kind of something in the middle of those 4, which is probably something in the 250s? Or do you believe he's more of the upper range guy who gets unlucky when the 240 seasons hit with Olson? What do you think?
So I do an article every year in which I talk about like auction and draft strategies and things like that. And I always do a little section on punting batting average. And when I talk about punting batting average in standalone leagues, right? If you're in an FBC with an overall, you can't really punt batting average. But in a standalone league, you definitely can and probably should a lot of times. And I always pick a player who has just year-to-year huge volatility in terms of batting average. Guess who that player is going to be this year?
Matteo,
because like you mentioned, over the course of the last 4 seasons, he's had a 271 batting average, then a 240, then a 283, and then last year was 247. Good luck projecting what his batting average is going to be this year. There's just no way to do it. My poster boy used to be Mike Moustakas for this. Now it's Matt Olson. You just don't know. What you do know is you're going to get power. He's going to hit 30 plus home runs. I would not be surprised if it is mid 30s or even high 30s again. And of course, we saw the 54 in 2003. Could that happen again? Absolutely.
Sure.
But I think last year is kind of the floor for Matt Olson. So I think this is a really good bounce back opportunity that you can kind of buy in on, because at worst case scenario, hey, he hits 240. But we've seen the 283. We've seen 50 home runs. And you have to think that Atlanta gets some better health luck in terms of what they went through last season. Like,
yeah, just some regression to the mean there for as bad as it was for them last year.
He got 98 RBIs on a team that like had you batting cleanup at times. Like is like you got to book him for like 110 RBIs, maybe even 120 RBIs. Like I just think that, and like the ADP right now isn't as low as I thought it was going to be. So like you do.
I'm noticing that. I'm noticing that as a wider trend. The like buy the dip guys, the market isn't dipping them, and I respect that, right? It's the right move, but it's pissing me off. Like,
well, it's because people have been so successful buying the dip that everybody buys the dip, and then all of a sudden the dip isn't actually. You're not actually buying a dip. You're just buying.
I wanted an overreaction to drop Olson to like pick 50, but no, he's at pick 35, which is perfectly reasonable. He ranges as high as 23, which I think you can. You know, if you take him in the second round, I'm not gonna make fun of anybody if they want Olson there.
At pick 35, like you're passing on, Austin Riley and Rafael Devers and, some amazing pitchers in DeGrom and Crochet and Burns and Kirby. Like I don't mind buying back in on Matt Olson, but there is not a dip you're buying back in on. You are paying full cost.
And, which again, I think is fine, but just don't think you're getting any sort of sneak discount on him because it's not there. And I've noticed that, like I said, with a handful of other guys, like a lot of pitchers, when I'm writing them up, I'm like, damn, let's buy the dip on this guy. Oh, there is no dip. Freddie Peralta, people are staying fully bought, guys like that. So, I'm fully in on Olson. I will buy. I guess it is a little dip compared to last year, but not nearly as much as I thought there might be. Pete Alonso is unsigned, so it's going to make a lot of this difficult to, we're going to be very vague and like it depends where he lands, all that. Just neutral. Actually, let me start with, do you think he's going to go back to the Mets? Because that's where a lot of people think he's still going to go back to. Do you think Alonso goes back?
Yeah, okay. I think he's back on the Mets. I don't think. I think he's going to have to take like a Bellinger type deal where it's like a 3-year deal with opt-outs every year, kind of reset his market and try again next year.
Okay. So, because, he's coming off of only 34 and 88, which for him, 34 is a downswing. It's a 4-year low, 37, 40, 46. The batting average actually was a big upswing from 23 when he hit 217. So I don't think that that's necessarily depressing his market. It's the lack of the 4,100 that he's been so bankable for. The Mets, they are on a different level, right? We are first to jump out there and say every owner can afford at least a couple big deals. Stop listening to them cry poor. But Stevie's on a different level, right? Yeah. They're all super, super rich. He still dwarfs them. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because even with everything they've done, the Soto deal, Manaea re-signing, other deals, they can easily afford him and they won't blink. So if they want to bring him back, they certainly can. That would be best. That's really the only way I'm buying Pete Alonso next year, because I don't really think he would go to some super friendly offensive place otherwise. I keep thinking that like Seattle's going to make the mistake. And I hate being negative on him because I do love Pete. He is a really fun personality. He's a goofy guy. Seems like a fun dude, cool guy. But I don't love the idea of signing a 30-year-old first baseman to a 4 or 5 year deal, which I think someone's going to have to do if they want to go get him.
If you could get him on a 4-year deal, I'd do it. Like I
4 you take?
Yeah. It's the 5-6 years that I would have.
Those are the really scary ones there, especially going to Seattle, which clearly hampers guys, right? Like we know that park is tough.
But I mean, Alonso's got power that plays anyways. This is like when Crush Davis got traded to Oakland. Everybody's like, "Oh, you gotta, not draft, Chris Davis this year." And like he went on and just mashed, right? Like
I'm with you on that, but
Alonso's
I think Safeco's
power
different, or T-Mobile's different because he would hit 200 then. I think it's 230 some homers.
No,
Why does that park ruin everybody? Look at Teoscar.
Because everybody's so sad.
Yeah, because of the rain. No, I mean,
Yeah.
like that park is tough. There's a reason that like all the pitchers are so great there too, because it's a very tough park to hit at. So there's no rumors there. That's just like they need offense so bad. This is a big bat. They could plug it in. That's why I've been linking them.
Like Teoscar was fine in Seattle. Like, what do you mean? Like, look at Teoscar.
No, he wasn't. He had 26 homers.
258. That's almost exactly what he did in Toronto the year before.
That was a 3-year low, or excuse me, it was a 4-year low in batting average and 26 homers in 160 games. How can you say he was not affected? He had a 108 OPS plus. What the hell are you looking at?
He might have been a little affected, but it's not like he fell it's not like he fell like flat on his
He hit
face.
643 at home, 643 OPS. He only buoyed himself with a good road work, 14 homers, 295 average, 830 OPS.
I'm like smoking as we talk, and I'm angry.
I'm the one that causes you to smoke. Jesus.
Yeah.
No, again, there's not even any rumors for Alonso to Seattle, so I don't want to be pushing that as if it's like imminent or anything.
Bring him
but that would bother me less. I'm not worried about a big right-hander in AT&T. Or is it AT&T? What the hell is it these days?
It's Oracle now.
It's Oracle now. Okay, I had the order mixed up. Pick a name, idiots. Anyway, if Alonso goes back to New York, I'm fine. If San Francisco did sign him, I would actually be okay. But if somewhere like Seattle signs him trying to fix their offensive problems, I can't get there. So I'm a TBD on him. I'm going to wait till Alonso signs to make any moves because it's not like he's going for any sort of discounted draft price while he's a free agent. He's going around pick 50. He might move up a little when he re-signs, but I think the market is just kind of treating him as Pete Alonso.
I don't have a problem with where he's going. I wouldn't mind taking a gamble on him because
it's a fine price. I'm just saying I'd rather go elsewhere right now with the uncertainty around where he's signing. Again, Sal Perez is next, but he's a catcher, and this show just never believes that putting a catcher anywhere but catcher makes sense. So we're not going
to only as a last resort,
right? Or for like a week to fill in, but like as a draft decision, it is a bad move. Yeah. It is an undeniable bad move. And plus, we talked to Sal during the catchers. So let's go into this power with upside group. And we are looking at Mike Podhorse's great first base rankings, which they have kept him busy. The market has kept him so busy.
Glad I did not get that one. Yeah.
Boy, you be so busy all throughout December here into January, re-ranking everything because there's been a ton of movement, and this tier really starts to get into it here. Christian Walker, Vinnie P, Jake Burger, Triston Casas, Paul Goldschmidt, and Josh Naylor. A lot of movement within this group, starting with the top guy, Christian Walker, going out to Houston. He has really established himself as a high-quality player with the D-backs. He now goes out to another highly competitive team in Houston. How do you feel about Walker being able to take advantage of those Crawford boxes in left field of Minute Maid? Or wait, what the hell's the new name?
I don't know.
Oh, God, they got a new name after some air conditioning company or some shit.
Shameless Promotion Stadium.
Yeah, right. It is called Daikin Park. Daikin, Daikin Park. Sure.
No,
anyway,
I'm not
what do you think of Christian Walker out there in the air conditioner?
I love this move for them.
Me too.
Who knows how well it works long term, but I mean, in terms of just this season, I love this movie. He's perfect for that park in those Crawford boxes. That he's going to be able to take advantage of. If you look at the X home runs adjusted by park, he would have had 28 home runs in Houston. I think this is such a great
28 homers in his 130 games. Don't forget he missed a month.
Yeah, that's right.
So the only thing that kept Walker from a third straight 30 homer season was health, and he's in his mid 30s. So that is a risk again this year.
You can't totally write that away. But like I said, I don't have my projections up in front of me. I probably should just bring them up so I can.
Generally, when we're on the pod, they could be useful to you.
They could be a little bit useful. So I will kind of let you vamp for a second while I find
Okay,
those.
yeah. Bottom line is, I'm fully with you. I love this move for Walker. I think the 105 price point is completely fair. There's a pretty decent range there, too, from 79 to 127 on his min and max. And if I get into a room that doesn't like him quite as much, then I'm all over it with Christian Walker here. You know, I know there's a transition period kind of happening in Houston. We saw them trade Kyle Tucker, but they're not mailing it in. They still have a good team, and he is a big part of that. So, yeah, I'm all aboard this move, and I think he'll be an absolute stud.
Yeah, I've got him for 35 home runs in 660 plate appearances, 250 batting average. So, yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that worries me a little bit about Christian Walker is the health. I guess you could throw in the lineup around him is not as good as
it's not as deep, but again, I still think they're good.
But you know, with Kyle Tucker gone, but it's still really good at the top with Altuve.
And is it any worse than Arizona? Like, no, I know Arizona sneakily had a great year last year. I think they were tops in runs, but you look at it 1-9. For his purposes, he's not joining much worse of a lineup.
No, I think it's pretty similar. So
now I'm going to challenge you.
Okay.
Because this is hard.
Yeah.
Because our next guy's Vinnie P. And this show is very, very, very pro Vinnie P. So I got to ask you right away, Vinnie P versus Christian Walker. Where you going, push come to shove in a draft right now? Because their ADPs are
I'm
tight.
going Christian Walker.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with disliking Vinnie P. I just think that Walker is just the more established guy. Like I feel like I can comfortably pencil in 30 home runs with a decent batting average and lots of runs and RBIs on Walker. And while I feel like Vinnie P could explode at some point, and I'm hoping he does because I will still be drafting him, like there's no guarantee of that. And there are a lot more red flags on Vinnie P than there are on Christian Walker. I mean, Vinnie P missed time with injury. Vinnie P is in a bad stadium for power. Vinnie P's lineup around him isn't as good in the totality as it is for Walker. So yeah, I don't think it's actually particularly close. And as much as I love Vinnie P, I think he's going too high in ADP.
Okay, so you are not playing uber favorites here with your guy going at pick 111. Now, we had our boy Eno Saris have a little bit of a challenge with another guy. He's actually in the next tier, but I'm going to bring him up. Oh, no, he's at the bottom of this tier. I'm a goofball. Josh Naylor, also on the move, going to replace Christian Walker in Arizona. We'll talk more about him in a minute, but just between he and Vinnie P, do you like Vinnie P at 111 or Josh Naylor at 97?
Ooh.
And bigger question, do you think both are going too high? Because you think Vinnie P is going too high. Do you also think Naylor's too high then?
I do kind of think Naylor's going a little bit too high.
I know your actual answer is that you take Walker because he's in between the two, but absent
let's say absolutely taking Walker.
Let's say Walker goes closer to his min, which is 79 in a draft. So he's gone, and we get to pick 98, and Naylor and Vinnie P are there. Who are you taking? Let's say closer to Vinny's ADP, because I know you think it's high, but let's say it is 110 then. Pick 110. Naylor's fallen a little bit. This is the Vinnie P zone. You need first base. Do you have a strong lean between either of these two? Naylor and Vinnie P.
I don't have a strong lean. I mean, I'd have to like run my auction values on both of them, kind of see exactly where I land. But I think my brain tells me to take Naylor just because I think he's the more bankable asset.
That's not what you told Eno.
But my heart says take Vinnie P because I want to believe that the breakout is coming. But this is one of the reasons why I do my projections, and then I run them through the Tanner Bell software, the Smart Fantasy Baseball software, and I go, okay, this is what I'm going with. I'm not deviating off of these numbers because I want to take my heart out of it, because my heart
because you put concrete numbers to what instead of just eyeballing it in your winging it in your head and saying I think this, I think that. You're putting tangible numbers to it and saying,
because
actually
when I don't go by my numbers, that's when bad things happen, right? Like when I put the time, the effort into doing these projections for every single player in Major League Baseball, and when I venture away from those because I got a gut feeling or because my heart tells me to, that's when I get myself in trouble. It's why I didn't end up with Marcell Ozuna anywhere last year, right?
Mhm.
Even though he was clearly the most underrated person by ADP on my draft sheet. And it turned out like he was, that was right. So I'm trying to stick true to it. So like I said, I don't know off the top of my head what those numbers would come out to, but I bet you Josh Naylor is above Vinnie P in that. And I will be drafting Josh Naylor over Vinnie P.
All right. And we did tell, that while we were leaning Vinnie P with our hearts, that it really was a coin flip pick.
And he went with Naylor.
He did go Naylor, which I think is the more right pick, even though I really do have them coin flipped. You guys know I'm a huge Naylor fan too. So it's not like I'm looking at two guys here that I'll take either. I think Naylor will do well in Arizona. So I have no problems with that decision that he made, because he was bummed because we all said Vinnie P. He's like, oh no, no, you didn't make a wrong move though. They really are that close that I don't think that you can go wrong either way. And if you're talking about bankability, we've seen Naylor do it way more than we've seen Vinnie P. Vinnie P doesn't have a 20 homer season yet.
Yeah, I mean,
he only had 19 last year because he missed 30 games.
I love Vinnie P, and I do believe in the talent. I think there is going to be a breakout at some point coming. But if you just go by the numbers, right, and the track record, like we shouldn't even be having this discussion. That's fair that we're even having this discussion. So I just pulled up my my sheet that has the projections that I've done in there, and Josh Naylor, I have about almost $2 ahead.
Oh, okay, so a little,
but I do have them back to back.
Perfect.
So
that's great. So they are right next to each other.
Vinnie P is $2 more in my projections, and I don't know if this has an updated Christian Walker in it or not, but I actually have Christian. I'm just looking. Oh no, I haven't even updated my Christian Walker from when he went to, or at least in this sheet, from when he went to or signed with Houston. But prior to signing with Houston, I already had Christian Walker above Pete Alonso.
You already had Christian Walker above Pete Alonso. Okay. So I'm actually totally fine with that, based on what I was saying about Pete and some of my concerns with him and how much I like Walker in Arizona. So yeah, I can co-sign that completely.
Yeah.
All right, let's put a bow on Naylor then, since he is in this tier anyways. Going to Arizona, coming off his big 3,100 season, 31 homers, 108 ribbies. Honestly, this has been in the cards now for a couple years, but he had a couple 120-game seasons, so he kind of showed that it was there, but he finally put together the big full season. Does he build on this breakout, or does he regress a bit going to a new place? How do you feel about Naylor, more specifically than just him versus Vinnie P?
I mean, I feel pretty good. It's going to be a good offense around him. I mean, it'll be a much more stable offense around him than he had in Cleveland. I think my questions on Naylor really come down to how they're going to use him. Are they going to let him, hit against lefties? He has been a guy in the past that Cleveland didn't want to play against lefties and didn't play against lefties. But last year they let him get 174 plate appearances. And while he wasn't good against them, like, he held his own to some extent, had 6 home runs, hit 224 in those 174 plate appearances against lefties.
How many ribbies did he have? Because that extra volume can help, even if
they're almost 30, so 29.
Yeah, even if it's being countered by a low batting average, you're still getting that surplus counting volume.
Yeah. So the question becomes, like, do they platoon Josh Naylor? I don't know that they even have a guy right now that they would want to platoon with him, because they're not going to. I mean, Pavin Smith's a lefty and does not hit lefties at all. So as long as Arizona doesn't bring in a lefty killer of some sort, like, I feel like Naylor's going to get the opportunity here to kind of get full-time playing time, and I like him quite a bit in Arizona. You look at Arizona being, I'm trying to find them on my sheet. Oh no, they're actually the worst. They're the worst team in terms of, or home park in terms of left-handed power.
Wait, really?
According
Arizona is?
Yeah, they're tied for the worst. Unless I updated this wrong.
They've got no idea.
76. They're tied with Kauffman Stadium.
Gross. What? And isn't Cleveland pretty good?
Cleveland 17th.
Okay. So kind of in the middle, basically.
So,
Wow.
that's interesting.
That's really interesting. I did not realize that. I don't think I had them in my head as like super favorable. I would have thought maybe more neutral. Not dead last.
I would have thought neutral. I mean, they're behind San Francisco.
Right.
They're right there. They're pretty much, it's pretty much a three-way tie for last between Kaufman, San Francisco, and Arizona. But that's interesting. I may need to read.
What was your homer projection for Naylor?
For Naylor, I had him,
because maybe a slice of 3-4 off of it now just to be safe.
Yeah. Naylor, I had for 26 home runs.
Yeah, maybe it's a 22-23 vibe, and that's not a crazy move, but that will change the ranking.
I wonder. I'm gonna see. I don't know how quickly I can do it, but I'm gonna try to just change it to 23 home runs and see what that does if I can find him in my sheet really fast. So go ahead and vamp for a second while I do that.
No problem. I will continue to look at Josh Naylor here. And this Diamondbacks team, like I said, was the highest scoring team in the league last year. And they do have lefties, right? They got Carroll, who's already there. Obviously, they don't really have any power lefties, though. Carroll's not a big power guy. Jake McCarthy isn't. Pavin Smith isn't. He's not even a full-time player. So, yeah, they go with the right power. I'm really stunned by this. I did not realize the park was that unfavorable to lefty power hitters. And I do find it curious that they replaced their biggest power position, first base, with a lefty when they had a righty there. Now, they did get younger. They got 5 years younger with Josh Naylor. So on that front, it makes sense. And I like Naylor. Maybe they think he can kind of hit through it, and they'll take the fewer home runs for maybe some more batting average. Because while he only hit 243 last year, he's a 262 career guy, and he did hit 308 back in 2023.
It does drop him a full buck.
Okay.
Which and I added my actual projection in for Christian Walker, and that raised him up a full buck. But it doesn't drop him below Vinnie P. It keeps him in the same spot, just maybe not as valuable, closer to Vinnie P. So if I drop that projection, so I'm not opposed to drafting either Vinnie P or Josh Naylor at their current prices, but I'm still prioritizing those top tier guys. There are red flags on these guys, and I may actually just end up skipping this group quite a bit.
This Walker, Vinnie P, Burger, Casas, Goldschmidt.
Not including Walker.
Walker. He's up in
for sure.
He probably more in the.
Honestly, there's 3 guys in this tier that I will probably get quite a bit in Walker, Jake Burger, and Paul Goldschmidt, and then 3 guys I probably won't in Vinnie P, Casas, and Naylor.
Why not Casas? Let's talk him next, and we'll go back to we did talk Burger when he signed, but we can throw a few additional thoughts on him. Why are you off of Casas? Weren't you on him last year? Or do I have that wrong?
You have that wrong. I was not in on Triston Casas.
Okay, so then you're just continuing your disinterest. Got it.
I don't think we yet know what Triston Casas is.
Isn't he just a standard power lefty?
He might be. He might be a guy that I don't know can ever unlock the power that we know is in there. Like, he's one of these guys that has amazing raw power, right? Like, that just when you watch him in batting practice, or when you watch him actually get a hold of a fastball, like, it is truly amazing. He also had a 76.7% zone contact rate. Now, remember, 85, 86% usually around league average. And I when I talk about like that threshold of like, is this guy a major leaguer? It's 80%, right? If it gets below that, then I start questioning. He's 3 percentage points last year below that. Now, some people are going to chalk that up to injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you look at like what he did in 2023, Triston Casas, he had this awful start to the season,
right,
where like he was really struggling. But
he's getting cut in a lot of fantasy leagues.
If you looked at the underlying numbers, they were really good. He was making league average in zone contact, which is amazing for a power hitter of his caliber. And I even said, like, halfway through the season, I was like, this is time to go buy on Triston Casas. If he's been dropped, go pick him up. if you can trade for him, go trade for him. I think he's going to have a huge second half. He did. He had an amazing second half in 2023. But when that happened, all of the underlying skills had regressed. Like, there was nothing the same. Like, he was just really unlucky in the first half and really lucky in the second half. And so my analysis coming into last season was, I don't know who Triston Casas is, and I don't think 2024 told us enough to know. I have no idea, and I think he's going to be really, really difficult to project. I think you now add in the fact that he has dealt with some injury issues.
Yeah, 63 games last year. Don't forget that too.
And the price isn't like dropped. Like, he's still going at 112. That's insane. Like,
this is what I'm talking about with guys that you would think would be for a discount to buy the dip. It's not there.
Like, I'm gonna say something that some people are gonna say is hyperbolic, but like, is there a difference between Triston Casas and Michael Toglia other than Triston Casas' prospect pedigree? Because I don't know that there is.
And I'm okay. I don't know that there is, but I would also expend a little further. Wasn't Toglia a top 100 guy too?
I don't believe he was ever a top 100.
Oh, okay. I thought he had some prospect. No, he wasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're saying outside of their prospect status, what's the difference?
Yeah. The last prospect report we have on Michael Toglia on Fangraphs was from 2023. He was the Rockies' 34th prospect. So he was
that's okay.
Not even a top 500 prospect.
He did go 25-10 last year in 116 games. Toglia did, but he hit 218 in Colorado. How do you do that? That's impressive. But no, I like Casas, so I come in as more of the Casas guy. But I'm with you on the price point. There's too many guys that are going after him that I'm like, I'd rather just wait. And like, significantly so. You bring up Toglia. Casas is at 118. Toglia's at 182.
Can I push you a little bit though?
Sure.
Why do you like Casas? Because to me, and I'm not saying you, but I think to me, like, the general love of Triston Casas is people going, well, he was a former top prospect. Like, it's just
I put a lot into pedigree. That does matter to me. He only has 840 career plate appearances, so I don't think
that's a good sample though.
It's not that big.
Spread out over 3 years. But it's big enough to start going.
But the biggest one is great. And they're all good, right? It's 113, 129, and 120 OPS plus totals for Casas. The biggest one, 2023, had that huge second half, and it's a 129 with 24 homers in 132 games. So what I'm looking at here is I think a 30-plus homer banger who takes a ton of walks. He does have big strikeout issues, so the batting average is a risk, no doubt. I think the 241 is just as likely as the 263 from 2023. But isn't that just standard first base, mega power guy of like 250, 30? I think it is. I think he's just like a left-handed.
Well, sorry. I thought you were asking if the strikeouts were a big, like the first base. Do you know what his swing strike rate was last year? He had a 31% strikeout rate.
Yes.
His swing strike rate was 13.8%. Like, wait, that's not that bad. Like,
well, I think part of it is the walks. When you take that many walks, you're going to have more strikeouts.
He has an almost 18% caught looking rate. Like, for called strikes rate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is so passive at the plate because he's trying to take those walks. Like, he strikes out on good pitches. I think
but 2023 showed he doesn't have to be 14% walk, 25% K, and hit 263.
So back to my original point, I don't think we know what Triston Casas is, and I'm not saying you are like buying in on the price because you're not, obviously.
No, I don't love that price point.
I think this price is insane, and I could be absolutely wrong. I may come back next year and be like, no, this is just another Matt Olson.
I think it speaks to my broader issue with first base that it lacks depth. I think he's getting pushed up, Casas and Burger for that matter. And I like Burger, and we spoke pretty positively about him when he got moved over to Texas. But he's at pick 120, and so is Spencer Steer. So all three of these guys are in the same area. I think they're all like 20 picks too high. But it's like, who do you take at first base? I think that's part of it, is that people are pushing up first baseman because they don't want to get into the old crusties like Goldschmidt and Rizzo.
Get into the old crusty.
Actually, Rizzo is Rizzo. He's way lower than that. I should have said someone like Rhys Hoskins or something. But anyway, I do think first basemen are getting pushed up because of the thinness of the position.
They probably are. I'm a buyer on Burger and I'm a buyer on Goldschmidt this year, so I'll fight for their ADPs.
No, I'm with Goldie. He's at pick
Yeah.
190. That's what I'm saying. Though.
Oh yeah,
Like,
but
I think
Burger I'm
people-
fine with.
I think people are
Goldschmidt
scared
is-
of him. I think people are scared of
Because of
somebody like
age.
Goldie because he's old, and so they're pushing up a Casas, a Burger, a Steer, and you guys know I love Steer. We've been talking him for a couple years now, but those guys are 60, 70 picks higher than Paul Goldschmidt. I'll take the boring, crusty Paul Goldie out in New York. So I'm with you on that front for sure. I get what you're saying about Casas, that there is some uncertainty because he only has 840 plate appearances. I definitely agree with you to that end. I just like what we've seen enough to still be interested in the profile. If I can get him closer to his max, which is 146, that is where I start to become interested. But in this average draft position of 118 and a min inside the top 100, I can't get there on Casas.
All right,
not right
then
now.
I'm going to give you some would you rathers real quick.
Okay.
I'm going to go to pick 146. I'm only going to do hitters. Okay. Would you rather have Triston Casas or Tyler Stevenson?
Casas.
Okay. Oh God, this is an interesting one. Triston Casas or Bo Bichette?
Ooh, that's really interesting. But I think I go Casas. I'm not really in on Bichette. I don't believe he.
I'm not in on
brings-
Bichette either.
Yeah, I don't believe he brings steals. I'm still mad that he burned me that one year when he went 25 for 26 after 8 steals in his first 2 years. So yeah,
Here's what I will say: this whole area is like filled with players that I go, ooh, I don't know that I really want.
Right,
to
there's
either.
question marks galore here.
Here's one that I think is really interesting, and then we could probably.
You.
Oh, Dylan Cruz.
Oh wait, I thought you were gonna go because I'm looking at the ADP now too, and
Okay.
Adolis Garcia comes shortly after Stevenson. So I was like, I dare you.
Oh,
to put...
I knew you wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Dylan Cruz though. Now you're hitting on somebody that I am obsessed with. I love Dylan. What's his ADP?
It's 140.
It's right around there. Wow.
Yeah, like
I respect it. I respect it. He should be going high. I think I take Cruz, and I know he's got even less of a track record. He's even been up for 5 seconds. But I am so in the tank for this guy. I think Cruz is a G. I'm really in on him.
I wonder where I have Cruz in my because I know I've done his projection.
We should find a stupider website to play at. These players are too good at the NFBC.
Well, this is why, like, a lot of people don't play at the
way.
NFBC because they don't want to like deal with
the psychos who play all year.
Yeah,
right. Like we shouldn't be surprised that the markets are tight on the people that are literally playing year round. So I'm not really, but yeah, Cruz at 140, like the market's saying, yeah, we know he's played 5 seconds, but this is a guy and he's ready to go. And like you said, these are just guys that are at the back end of Casas's range. At his average draft position, he goes much higher than these guys.
Yeah.
And in that case, no, I am taking the Stevensons and the Cruzes and all that because I'm going to wait. If Casas falls, that's where I want to jump in, but I can't bank on that. So I'm not going to have as much Casas as I would have maybe thought I was going to coming into the year because he too does not have a dip that you can really buy.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think I've done Cruz's projection, so I'm going to have to do that today.
I'll be curious where it comes out when you finish that. All right, Burger. Like I said, we talked about him when he moved, so you can go back and find that episode if you want more details, but do you just want to give a summarization of your thoughts of him going to Texas? You've already stated that you like him. How much do you like him out in Texas?
I like him a lot. I mean, this is not like Jake Burger is like just pure power. Like he is what his name is. He is a burger. And I think there is a really, really good chance that Jake Burger is a guy that could potentially like challenge for the home run title this year in Texas. He's leaving the Mariners Park, or not the Marlins Park, which was, in spite of like the idea that the Marlins Park is like a really hard park to hit home runs in, it's actually 14th in park factors for right-handed power.
Because they lack talent to hit home runs.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. But Texas is actually a really good place to hit. It's a 113 park factor for right-handed power. Actually, I'm on left-handed power. I need to update that. I apologize. I'm going to retract what I just said. The Rangers are the 4th best park in baseball.
Even better.
And the Marlins are the 25th. So
huge park change, huge lineup change, 2 major factors for Burger. So even if he's batting lower, because he will be compared to where he was in Miami, I don't really care.
I know you follow me on TikTok. Have you seen what I've been doing recently on TikTok?
I have not. What are we doing over there?
I've been running 2 kind of series daily. One which is just for fun. It's me showing all the Justin Mason t-shirts. So it's going day by day, like, until I figure out how many Justin Mason t-shirts I have.
I can't even fathom how many.
Yeah, I'm already at 8. Right, I gotta do 9 today. So
that's amazing.
This is gonna go into February for sure. The other thing is, someone asked me, like, what are teams that could surprise and exceed expectations to make the playoffs? I talked about the Rangers. I think the Rangers have a really good shot to win this division.
I am fully back in on the 2023 World Series participants, both of them.
Everybody's going to be picking the Nationals as their dark horse to like make the playoffs. I don't think they are.
I think they're
a year away from making that move, because I just don't think the pitching, especially the bullpen, is good enough. But the Rangers, I do think the Rangers will be my dark horse team. I mean, they're a year away from year removed from
are they a dark horse then?
I think they're going to be looked at as one.
I think the gambling odds could, if you use that as like a guide. I know not everyone is in on that.
My guide for the series was teams that just didn't make the playoffs.
Okay, yeah. So you're going with the non-playoff teams. That's fair.
Yeah, which ones can? And I'm being very loose with it. Like I've already talked about Cincinnati. I've already talked about Tampa Bay. I even talked about Toronto because someone asked me to, even though I don't think they are going to be in that conversation. But
they want to be. But
if you're on TikTok, I mean, TikTok's probably going to be banned in like a week. So like, I guess
actually, we'll see.
Who knows?
Anyway,
who knows? But
I'm with you.
If you want to go follow me over there, Justin Mason FWFB.
Yes, definitely follow Justin on TikTok there, and I'm with you on the burger love for sure. I think he's got a chance to really pop off there. And I'm with you on the Texas love. And like I said, both 2023 World Series participants for a big return to prominence this next year. I think what both have done in the offseason has been great. Obviously, Burns signing is massive, but even the small move that Arizona's done, I've been impressed with. All right, let's finish up with Goldie, because you've already hinted at some big Goldie love here. He's going out to New York. He's going to take Rizzo's place, a guy I mentioned a couple times who might just be done, unfortunately. But I'm not quite sure Goldie is, and you seem to agree. He is 37. He's going to be 37 this year, coming off of a little bit of a downswing season, 22 and 65 with a 245, a little bit more than a little downswing. It was a big downswing.
Yeah.
You think there's more here, at least one last kick going to New York? What do you like about Goldie as a Yankee?
Yeah, I just think that people are it's interesting that like some players get very little dip in terms of like people not wanting, or people wanting to just buy right back in after a bad season. And then other players who, like Goldschmidt, like in spite of, yes, it was a down season, it wasn't a bad season necessarily. Like
still went 20 and 10.
He went 22-11, with 245 batting average. Like, you didn't lose your league because you drafted Paul Goldschmidt.
Right.
You didn't return the value of where you drafted him, for sure.
But you could work around it. It's one of those like where it was a disappointing season, but push come to shove, you had a bankable first baseman. His counting categories were barely off. He lost 3 homers. That's it. Same steals as he had in 2023. Now, you lost 15 ribbies, you lost 20 runs, and you lost 23 points of batting average. So I'm not saying that Goldie was the same guy, but he wasn't so different. Yes,
I don't want to act like this. Like, we did see the in-zone contact jump or drop below 80%, which is that threshold that I worry about. But, like, how much of like the season can be blamed on just St. Louis being like a terrible place to have to play baseball in last year, right? Like
a malaise over that team.
It seemed like everybody just didn't want to be there by the end of the season or by like June.
But they like, and I'm not fans in baseball.
I'm not shitting. No, but I'm not shitting on.
I know.
You're not. It's been an amazing organization. Like, I just think like right now, like they're like, it's weird to see a team go from like amazing culture to terrible culture over the course of a few seasons, and I think it has everything to do with
Holy Marmol.
Yeah, exactly.
Catch in my throat.
Well, and the general managing situation, like the front office situation, has been terrible in the last few years. So, but that being said, like he's going to a good park, he's going to a great offense, like he's going to try to compete for a World Series. I really like this fit, and maybe he is cooked, and maybe we just see more and more decline, but And so I think that there is a reason why he shouldn't be going maybe in the top 150, but
pick 190.
190? Like
I'm taking Goldie at 190. If I get past baby.
150, you get me in the 11th round of a 15-team draft. Goldie's on my team. Like I
think I'm with you on that. Like,
and this is why like I will skip almost this entire tier for Goldschmidt like every time. Like it's just I'm going to.
Because this is a place, this is a dip, right? We talked about buying the dip. You're actually getting a dip here. And another reason I like it is there's guys I can supplement with later that if he does flop, if Goldie is at the beginning of the end here and he just kind of gets worse in New York, okay, I can pivot off. Like I'm a huge Spencer Horwitz guy. We'll talk about him on Monday.
Yeah.
And I can just have somebody like that at the ready. I'll take another shot on like a Josh Bell. Boring, but okay. And there's other guys too that we'll get into. So I will be able to supplement Goldie with some protection and still get this discount. And one thing I want to point out, everyone always talks about how great the park factors are for lefties. They are the second home run park factor for right-handers behind only Dodger Stadium over the last 3 years. So you're 100% right that even as a right-hander, Goldie's going to a great park. You already talked about the lineup. That's obvious. They were a World Series lineup. And I know that they were carried by the two guys, but it's not like there are other quality guys there. I do think even not having Soto, when you look at Volpe, Jazz, Judge, Goldie, Bellinger as your top 5, and then Stanton, Wells, Dominguez, Cabrera as your bottom 4, there's some question marks there, but that's a good lineup. Like I think if they get what they're expecting out of that lineup, it'll be very good.
I have the difference in like my auction values between Goldschmidt and VDP being 20 cents.
Yeah, like and it's nothing. 70 picks.
70 picks. Yeah, I'm just not. Like, and like I said, like if things don't work out and you gotta drop Goldie, like there are interesting guys, and there'll be guys that emerge, right? There'll be a Michael Toglia of this season. There'll be
a Michael Busch of this season.
Yeah,
someone gets a chance and finally breaks through or whatever. Yeah, there'll be, especially in your shower leagues, right? We talk a lot about 15-team stuff because that's what we play most, but we know that in 10s and 12s, it's a different landscape. That's even easier to replace a first baseman like Goldie if things fall apart. So you're even protected if this is the beginning of the end, but the upside is that he gets back to like 30 homers, steals another low double-digit total, and gets back to like 270, 280 with the average.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, like, and we're going to talk about this more, on Monday when we kind of pick up, but like, there's a number of guys that are going later that I'm interested in. Like,
for sure.
I mean, like you said, Josh Bell, Michael Busch, you just mentioned, Candelario is going pick 300. Tyler Soderstrom,
I'm willing to buy back in on Candy. He didn't quite work out first year in Cincy, but I'll do the buyback.
You mentioned Spencer Horwitz, Josh Bell. Where's Jose Miranda? Is Miranda not have?
Is he
third base?
Only third base? Right. Is he like DH eligible?
Oh, I don't know.
No, he's third base only.
Okay, it's third
base only.
But yeah, I mean, there's like, yes, it's not as deep of a position from a surefire kind of thing. There's still plenty of guys that are really interesting.
Well, and it is kind of fair to mention Miranda because in a shallower league, Goldie's going to be your corner anyway. So you can look at the depth of third base as a way of possibly replacing him too, if things break down. We're only talking about if things break down. If they go the way Justin and I think, then you're playing Goldie all year and you're getting a 28, 90, 270 season with 9 to 12 steals. So that's what we're signing up for, and then hoping to get that, but knowing that it won't kill us if we don't with Paul Goldschmidt. So yeah, I'm fully in on buying the old crusty here because that's where you usually get discounts is with the older guys. All right, so there's the first couple groups of first base. We'll get back into it on Monday because things really change with our next group. It's like the Power-lite guys, your Luis Arraez's, your Spencer Steers, Yandy Díaz, and then we'll get into some of those power-only guys where you might take a batting average that's closer to my weight than Justin's, and is it worth the 30 homers that you can get with it? Where are you going to be on a Christian Encarnacion Strand rebuy? We were big on him last year. So there's still plenty to talk about at this position, and we'll pick that up on Monday. In the meantime, Justin, I hope you have a nice weekend, and good luck with the smoking cessation.
Yeah. Wish me luck. Hopefully I will be coming to the Monday podcast.
Are you getting those lozenges or something?
Yes, I've got. Okay. obviously, if you're listening to podcasts, but I have a big passion for vlogs. It's like it is
Huge Amazon bag.
You should all watch it on the YouTube. Like, yeah, I have a bit. I'm ready to go. We're gonna do this, and hopefully, yeah, I'm gonna survive.
I'll be supporting you through it.
If you don't hear from me Monday, I didn't make it.
Okay. Yeah, if there's no pod on Monday, things went awry, folks. But no, we'll be back Monday talking more first base. Until then, take care.
Take it easy.